Today we're talking Swiss Guard weapons, the real arsenal behind those Renaissance uniforms and ceremonial halberds. If you think the Guard's only weapons are swords, pepper sprays, and again, those halberds, think again. You've got optics-ready Glocks, armor-piercing PDWs, and other kick-ass stuff that we're going to talk about. So stick around if you'd like to know the gear behind the Guard. Number 1. Glock 19. The Swiss Guard began issuing the Glock 19 when it wanted a duty pistol that would run in every climate, accept modern accessories, and disappear beneath a doublet or tailored black suit. The compact Austrian design arrived on the scene in 1988 as a shorter slide, shorter grip evolution of the Glock 17. Yet it kept the same 15-round magazine and the company's characteristic safe-action trigger system. Vatican armorers order pistols with a subdued Vatican crest laser-etched on the slide and AG for Armeria Guardia. Internally, they remain bone stock, because stock Glocks already survive salt spray at papal seaside liturgies and the frigid night watches on the apostolic palace roof. A few guards swap the polymer sights for tritium or fiber optic sets, but extensive customization is rare. Strict armory rules require every firearm to be returned to factory configuration before annual inspection. Current production Gen 5 MOS models leave the factory optic-ready and retail in Europe for the equivalent of about €780, while US shops list them around $620 to $700, depending on night sight and finish options. Reliability is the reason the pistol still dominates professional holsters worldwide. The safe-action trigger gives a consistent break right around 5.5 pounds, and the generous trigger guard welcomes gloved hands during December ceremonies. Field stripping is a 10-second affair that can be done blindfolded, and rumor has it new recruits actually practice that as part of their first-year weapons familiarization. Number 2. Glock 26. When the Pope decides to mingle with pilgrims along the barricades, close protection guards can't afford a printing jacket or a lumpy waistband. For those moments, the diminutive Glock 26 comes out of the vault. Introduced in 1995, the Baby Glock shaves almost an inch off slide and grip length, accepting a 10-round flush magazine that leaves most shooters' pinkies dangling. The subcompact ships for roughly €690 in Europe, or $550 to $600 stateside, and second-hand police trade pistols occasionally dip below $5, though Vatican units buy directly from the Austrian distributor and log every serial in a meticulously handwritten ledger. The pistol shoots better than its size suggests. Early testers noticed that the double captive recoil spring and chunky slide kept the gun locked long enough for consistent barrel dwell time, producing groups that sometimes rivaled full-size frames. A Swiss Guard range officer once demonstrated a perfect 50-shot score on the Italian police combat course with a plain vanilla G26, causing some carabinieri to rethink their Beretta loyalty. Smaller single-stack guns, the Glock 43 and wider grip 43X, are lighter and thinner, and aftermarket Shield Arms steel magazines brings 9-round capacity to the 43 platform. Even so, the Guard clings to the G26 because it shares magazines with the 19 and drops into the same Safariland ALS holster using a wedge insert. During transatlantic flights, the compact rides in a simple Kydex appendix rig paired with a 32-round spare mag stashed in a radio pouch. Still standing at attention? Then you're one of us. No fluff, just firepower. Hit subscribe and step behind the Vatican walls, where the halberds are just for show and the real steel speaks loud. No rosaries, no riddles, just raw gear. Number 3. SIG P220. For nearly 80 years, the Swiss Guard quietly carried the awkward little Dreiser Model 1907 in .32 caliber, a blowback pocket pistol that looked more at home in a trench coat than on Vatican duty. That all changed after the 1981 attempt on Pope John Paul II's life. The Guard replaced the outdated blowback with something worthy of modern protection, the SIG P220. A full-sized semi-automatic built for serious work. Early models chambered 9mm. Later batches arrived in .45 ACP, and both calibers still rack in the armory. A new stainless slide P220 lists for about 1,350 Swiss francs or $1,000 to $1,100 in the US, though every Vatican example was bought decades ago under an agency contract and has long since amortized its price. What the pistol lacks in capacity, 8 rounds in .45, 9 in 9mm, it makes up in accuracy and an exquisitely smooth double-action first pull. Barrels are hammer-forged at SIG's Neuhausen plant. Older carbon steel tubes reveal a deep crosshatch pattern under strong light, a detail machinists still brag about. At the range, armorers require every guard to qualify double action only for the first shot, reinforcing trigger discipline and reducing negligent discharges on the crowded Vatican streets. Recoil spring life is tracked on an index card tied to each gun's lanyard loop, replaced every 5,000 rounds or 2 years, whichever comes first. And the P220s just keep chugging, their grip panels darkened by a century's worth of gun oil and gloved hands. Number 4. SIG SG550, or STGW90. Step into the rifle racks beneath the caserma and you'll meet the heart of modern Swiss small arms engineering, the SIG SG550, or Storm and Gewehr 90. A new civilian 550 semi-auto costs north of 3,500 Swiss francs and pushes $3,000 on the US collector's market. But the Guard received its rifles gratis, gifts from the Swiss Army during periodic modernization drives. The 20-inch cold hammer-forged barrel pairs with a diopter drum rear sight, graduated to 600 meters, and a rotating 2-prong flash hider accepts the SIG GL5040 underbarrel grenade launcher. Transparent polymer magazines click together for instant reloads, a handy feature when you're wearing winter gauntlets on top of an apostolic palace rooftop at 3 a.m. Those magazines hold 30 standard 5.56 NATO rounds. Loaded, a rifle tips the scale at roughly 4.1 kilograms, but its balance sits perfectly between hands thanks to the long piston and full-length handguard. Guards zero their rifles during annual training in Ticino, where long alpine valleys provide natural 300-meter lanes. Optics remain optional. Some rifles carry Aimpoint Comp M4 red dots or aging Hensoldt 4x24 scopes clamped to the receiver rail, although purists swear the iron sights give sharper hits on the standard B-27 silhouette. In Vatican service, the rifle's role has shifted towards perimeter defense and ceremonial drill, yet everyone still learns to clear rooms with the long barrel because the Pope occasionally visits places where space is plentiful but backup is not. Number 5. SIG SG552 Commando. Crowded basilica aisles and bullet-resistant glass corridors call for something shorter than the STGW90, so the Guard added the SIG SG552 Commando to its kit. Debuting in 1998, the 552 shrinks the 550's heritage into a package barely longer than an Uzi, using an 8.9-inch chrome-lined barrel and a shortened gas system that still runs flawlessly on the same 30-round magazine. A factory-new carbine with folding stock and 1 mag retails for about 3,200 Swiss francs or $2,800, but production ended in 2015, making current prices speculative collector territory. Select fire lower receivers give semi, 3-round burst, and full auto, with cyclic rates hovering near 800 RPM. That burst setting proves useful when a guard must engage a single hostile among a crowd, limiting over-penetration and conserving the limited ammunition on his belt. Suppressor fit involves a quick detach interface milled into the flash hider crown. Attach a B&T Rotex 5 and the bark becomes a polite thump, vital during covert papal apartment sweeps where acoustic signature matters as much as accuracy. Maintenance mirrors the 550. Pull the front pin, swing the stock, slide the carrier and recoil assembly, and no small parts leap into oblivion. The 552 earned its status during the funeral of John Paul II, when plainclothes guards carried the compact carbine under long black overcoats among 300,000 mourners. Nobody noticed, which is precisely the point. Number 6. B&T APC 556. Change came again in the late 2010s when the Guard evaluated the Brugger & Tomat APC 556, a short-stroke piston carbine conceived as an advanced police carbine. The rifle competes head-to-head with the HK416, yet offers Swiss manufacturing pedigree and ready integration with B&T suppressors. A semi-auto APC 556 starts at 2,950 Swiss francs domestically, or $2,600 MSRP in the United States. Agency select fire orders add about 15% plus suppressor costs. The rifle's upper receiver is precision-milled aluminum with a continuous 12 o'clock rail and M-lock slots at 3, 6, and 9. Controls are mirrored on both sides, bolt release paddles sit above the trigger guard, and safety levers swing a short 45 degrees from safe to semi. The reciprocating charging handle can swap sides, but some shooters complain it bruises knuckles during aggressive barricade drills. B&T's latest folding non-recip handle retrofit solves that. Internally, the APC uses a 2-lug rotating bolt and a hydraulic recoil buffer in the buttstock, resulting in a butter-soft impulse even on full auto. Guards praise the rifle's suppressed performance, flip the gas regulator to the reduced port, thread on a Rotex 5, and the bolt speed drops just enough to prevent gas blowback while keeping ejection stable. Practical accuracy with 62-grain Swiss FMS cartridges runs 1.5 MOA from the bench, more than adequate for downtown Rome engagement distances. Number 7. B&T APC 9. Every modern protective detail craves a compact 9mm that feeds from service pistol magazines, accepts optics, and recoils like a squirt gun. The B&T APC 9 checks those boxes and adds Swiss attention to left-handed controls. A semi-auto Pro model lists for 2,300 Swiss francs or $2,300 in the US, while LE Select Fire variants with 3 mags and a folding stock cost agencies roughly 2,650 Swiss francs. The rifle hides its engineering wizardry inside a simple blowback action tuned by a hydraulic buffer, which slows the bolt and removes that abrupt slap you feel on many pistol-caliber carbines. Early prototypes cycled at nearly 1,800 RPM. With the standard buffer installed, rates settled around 950, right in MP5 territory. More importantly, muzzle rise flattened so much that instructors now ask rookies to fire 3-round bursts single-handed at 7 meters. Results usually print a ragged hole, confidence boosting for a guard who might someday shoot one-handed while shielding the pontiff with another arm. Modularity is the platform's second virtue. The serialized extruded aluminum upper mates to polymer lowers sized for B&T, Glock, SIG P320, or even Walter P99 magazines. Vatican's standard spec pairs a 6.9-inch barrel with the non-reciprocating pro-charging handle, an aimpoint acro on the top rail, and a 3-lug flash hider ready for a QD suppressor. Number 8. Heckler & Koch MP7. Armor technology keeps improving, and soft Kevlar panels that once stopped handgun rounds now shrug off 9mm. Enter the Heckler & Koch MP7, a personal defense weapon firing the bottlenecked 4.6 by 30mm cartridge at rifle velocities. MSRP remains government only. US agency purchases average $2,900 per gun, including 2 40-round mags, while European contracts hover around €2,600. Civilian ownership is non-existent, and even most police forces lease them through armory programs. The MP7A2's short-stroke piston action mimics HK's G36, giving flawless function with or without a suppressor. The standard magazine carries 40 rounds, yet fits flush in the pistol-style grip, keeping overall length tidy. Penetration remains the PDW's signature strength. The hardened steel 31-grain projectile slices through level 3A soft armor at 200 meters while producing recoil closer to a .22 LR rifle than to a .556 carbine. Accuracy inside that envelope feels uncanny. Most shooters ring an 8-inch plate at 150 meters with a simple red dot and minimal holdover. The trade-off is modest terminal energy, but for body armor problems, speed and penetration trump mass. Swiss Guard deployments remain classified, yet credible photos show plainclothes operators escorting Pope Benedict XVI with MP7A1 slung under dark jackets. Operators can thread an HK suppressor on the factory muzzle, extend the stock with one pull, and shift from discreet carry to armor-piercing capability in a single motion. For a force whose core mission is to shield a head of state amid ever-changing threats, that flexibility closes the circle started 5 centuries ago with a halberd and a prayer. And that wraps up our deep dive into the Swiss Guard's secret arsenal. Think you can suggest a better loadout for them? Or are you packing one of these guns here yourself? Drop it in the comments. We're all ears. Make sure to smash that like button, share this with your gun crew, and hit subscribe for more no BS gear breakdowns.